On today's show, we're talking about the elephant in the room, the NFL, and our Bayou Classic experience. All that and more on That's What She Said Sports. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to That's What She Said Sports. As you can see, it is hat day today. That's What She Said Sports. But I'm your sports chick, Nicole, Monique, and I'm sitting next to my co-dude, BG.
Yeah.
And we want to thank all those who are listening, not only on Podbean and iTunes, but also all those who are watching us on Comcast and our YouTube channel. And B, we have a lot to talk about.
A lot to talk about today, my friend. Yes.
But and we'll talk about our weekend, of
yes,
course.
indeed.
That's going to be we're going to share with you some of the things that we saw and that we did also at the Bayou Classic. But while we were there in New Orleans,
we
had the opportunity to watch one of the greatest sports endings ever.
Yes,
and
indeed.
I say let's just jump right into it.
Let's do it.
With
no hesitation.
Definitely reach out to us on Facebook and Twitter. And on Twitter, use the hashtag #SheSaidSports. Again, hashtag #SheSaidSports to let us know any feedback from the show, anything you'd like to tell us, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But, folks, it only took 1 second. That's it. 1 second.
1 second.
To change the outcome of college football.
Arguably the most infamous second in college football history.
Oh, my God. It was amazing. So, anyway, we are talking about, obviously, the Alabama and Auburn game, where at the end of, or at least we thought at the end of regulation, the game was 28-all. But one of the most powerful coaches in college football, Nick Saban, wanted some time.
Yeah.
Yep, he wanted some time. Yeah. So he challenged the review of T.J. Yeldon, and with that challenge, they put 1 second left on the clock. And as we all know, the kicker for Alabama, Cade Foster, had already missed 3 field goals. So they brought in Andrew Griffith, who is a freshman.
The long kicker.
Right.
Daddy Longfoot.
To kick 57 yards. Well, he kicked this ball, and, he didn't make it.
He did not.
But lo and behold, Chris Davis was there. Yeah.
And the ball found his awaiting arms.
Thank you.
Where he caressed it so gently.
And senior Chris Davis ran that ball back for a touchdown over 100 yards.
Yes, indeed. A thing of beauty.
You can't even say amazing. Like, you just can't even think of a word.
It leaves you speechless.
But I do want to share with you all, according to the NCAA records, it was only the 4th time that a missed field goal was returned for 100 yards. It's one of those things where if you didn't see it live, the highlights don't do it justice.
Nope.
Because you had to watch it.
Right.
We are fortunate enough to have been in New Orleans. Like I said, we were at the hotel, at the bar at the hotel that we're staying.
Yes.
And we're watching the game.
What Kurt was hooking us up so ever so lovely.
Right. And it was kind of, it was a mixed group. You had those who love Alabama and those who don't.
Right.
So that's what made it interesting.
Right.
And again, you're thinking overtime. And in fact, a lot of people had actually walked out saying, well, this game is over.
Right.
Because it's going in overtime.
Right.
And to see that boy miss that field goal. Right. And to see Chris Davis run it back. It was just, Hollywood couldn't have scripted that even better.
No, man. No.
What was your take? How did you feel about it?
It's really strange. We're sitting there, amongst some other people watching the game, and everybody was thinking, okay, this thing is going in overtime.
Right.
It's like we were in unison. Yeah, this game is going in overtime.
And actually scared that if it overtime, we were like, well, Nick, at that point, Nick's got it.
He's going to make the adjustments.
Right.
He's going to win the game.
And then pretty much, okay, fine, great. Alabama's going to win in overtime.
Go to commercial, come back. 1 second's on the clock.
Right.
Where did that come from?
Right.
Now, with 1 second on the clock, you're still thinking, he's not going to go. He's not going to go for the field goal.
Yeah.
He's in field goal range, but he's not going to go for it.
Yeah.
He's going to take the smart way out, let the clock run out, play the extra minutes.
That's it.
Not Nick Saban.
No.
Nope. Not Nick Saban.
And and that's one of those, some could say it's a gutsy move. Some could say it was a crazy move. Mm-hmm. Obviously, today, some are questioning that move.
Right.
We all know Nick Saban, if he could get that 1 second back, he obviously would do things differently.
Yeah, man. I think for the most part, and I won't even call it common sense. I would say football sense.
Right.
Because everybody that was sitting there said, okay, he's going to let the clock run out.
Right.
And that didn't happen.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
So
Well, because in Nick's world, when he gets a challenge, it
Right.
usually it's in his favor.
yeah.
But it's just this one time where that 1 second literally. Now, here's what's interesting. You had 1 second on the clock.
Right.
That 1 second cost him the number one spot.
Right. And a shot at playing for the SEC championship.
Again.
Now let's ponder that thought for a minute.
Yeah.
What does that 1 second mean?
Like you said, you're no longer number one.
Right.
And you no longer have an opportunity to make history
Exactly.
for the third time in a row.
Right. Right. But I mean, in short, that 1 second
Yeah.
to argue to put that back on the clock,
Yeah.
that was pretty arrogant.
And, well, yeah, I think that's a great word for it. And also, this is truly David and Goliath.
Absolutely.
And again, like I said, you have those people who are either diehard Alabama fans and those who aren't. I
Right.
mean, there are those of us who, you know what, you just didn't want them to be number one anymore.
Right.
You just wanted to see them get beat.
Right.
And I think a lot of people went in, and I personally am a big fan of underdogs.
Right.
So, yeah, Auburn's number 4. Yeah, Auburn beat Georgia. But
Mhm.
you're still thinking this is Alabama.
Right.
So it's on your wish list,
Mhm.
but you just don't think it's going to happen.
Right. Because the first thing comes to mind, okay, the tide will roll,
Right.
not get rolled on.
No.
But-
no. And even not even the kicks as far, or excuse me,
Right.
the missed field goals that Kate
Right.
Foster had missed.
Mhm.
They were just sloppy.
Right. Now let's just go ahead and dig a little bit deeper.
Okay.
I mean, we're not going to go too far,
Right.
but just a little bit below the surface.
Okay.
The running game of Auburn was causing Bama all kinds of problems.
Oh, yeah.
In the second half.
Oh yeah.
Nick Marshall was like a magician.
Yeah.
Back there. I mean, it was incredible. So that being the case, you know,
Because they weren't ready for that.
bingo.
They were not
So
ready for that.
Now you're tied up, and in a dogfight, you got 1 second.
That's it.
You know, arrogance
But you
can
didn't.
also
But you didn't have to because the refs had said end of regulation.
end of regulation.
But no,
no,
we're going to
put
challenge
that 1
it.
second back on the clock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think you used the word.
Right.
It was an arrogant move.
Yeah.
Which, as we all know, for 500 different times, it usually works out in his favor.
Exactly.
But the stars aligned.
Mm-hmm.
It was just one of those days. And, I heard some people, I heard some Bama people say, on social media, it was luck on the part of Auburn. It's not luck. There's
Nope.
just sometimes where
Right.
it's just where things line up and it just works for you. But at the end of the day, we can't take it away. Auburn
Right.
was just good. They were the better team that day.
Absolutely. Now let's be clear too. Nick Saban isn't some kind of spin master or anything like
Right.
that. When it comes down to a coaching decision, you must make a decision and stick to it.
That's it.
If you've played a lot of football, you got to play the odds.
You know that for every 99 times that you do it and it works for you, that 100th time,
Bingo.
it's not going to work for you.
It's not going to work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
So, hey, you know what I mean?
Well, that was definitely, we have to give it for Auburn. We're doing something a little different today, folks. We know we usually start with our NFL
Right.
5.
I know you're looking for the 5.
But this is just hot. I mean,
Yeah.
college football can't
I
get
know,
any hotter
right?
right now. So we're kind of doing our beasts and busters for college football.
Right.
Where that's what we're opening up with. So obviously Auburn, total beast mode.
Absolutely.
You had to give it to them. Now, on the flip side, I kind of mentioned this before. You had Alabama kicker Cade Foster, obviously buster.
Right.
Missed 3 field goals,
Right.
which could have definitely had taken them.
Nerves, you think?
You know what? It's just one of those things where we see it in the NFL. Sometimes the kicker's on, but when he
Sometimes
is
he's
off, he is off.
Yeah, it's kind of like having that 9-iron in your hand.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
know, there are some days when you just can't work it out.
But along with Cade Foster getting the buster, I also have to give it to all of those on Twitter who had said some of the most disgusting things ever. Look, folks, at the end of the day, this is a game.
Right.
Love to have a good time. And you can't I'm passionate, okay?
Yeah.
And I know sports fans get passionate.
Right.
B and I have watched many a games. We get passionate.
Right.
Yell, kick, get frustrated.
Scream.
And even on the show, we
Throw
like to have a
stuff on
good
the floor.
time. We'll joke about teams and athletes, but we're not going to threaten anybody's life.
No. No.
And people were
Nope.
saying things like, Cade Foster, I hope you die. People were saying things about his mother,
Right.
and that was just ignorant.
Yeah, you know,
Okay.
and this is all being put out on social media, no doubt.
Right.
The World Wide Web.
Right.
Come on, people, we got to do better, man.
Yeah, and
We've got
again-
to do better.
It is a game. And at the end of the day, hey, he's already beaten himself up. He does
Right.
not need you to come behind
Right.
him and say some of the most, again, disgusting
Heinous,
things. Yeah, just
disgusting.
ridiculous.
Repulsive. Nasty.
Thank you.
Grimy.
So,
Dirty.
Got to get them a big buster. Now, I want to go on to Ohio State beating Michigan.
Ah. Ooh.
Yeah, 42-41. That one hurt.
You know,
that one hurt.
I'm gonna go out here. I'm gonna fall on my own sword.
Okay.
I know what you're thinking. BG, don't do it. BG, don't
Okay.
But I actually didn't want Michigan to win that game.
You didn't, or you did?
No, I wanted them to win.
Right.
I was pulling
Yeah.
for the Big M.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I was thinking hopefully that'll give me a little bit of reprieve.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Especially
Thank you.
since I lost the earlier bet.
Yeah.
And I was hoping like you forget about it and stuff.
No, I
you'd
had
be like
forgot.
so,
and in
so
fact,
happy.
we'll probably
stuff.
just open up the new season
Oh.
with you wearing a Michigan hat because I hadn't forgotten about it. But
I
thank
guess-
you for that.
Can I take that back?
No.
Can I?
But in a buster move, 3 players were ejected from the Michigan-Ohio State game after a fight broke out in the second quarter. You had Ohio State's Dontre Wilson, Marcus Hall, and then the Michigan linebacker Royce Jenkins-Stone were all ejected from fighting. And honestly, if you look back at the tape, I think both teams would have had a lot of more people ejected, but they were trying to go
Right.
for those who had thrown some fists.
Right.
In a big-time buster move, Marcus Hall, one of the Ohio State players, he was kind enough to give the finger on both hands to those Michigan Wolverines who were sitting there as he was exiting the stadium. So needless to say, that was just totally ridiculous as well. Now, Urban Myers has said he's not going to have any further discipline at this time. He's going to see what the Big Ten has to say. You know, and at first I was like, really, Urban? But in the same token, I can kind of see where he's coming from just for the fact that I'm sure these 3 guys, they were sitting there in the locker room, were thinking, man, this is like the biggest game of the year, and I
Right.
totally messed that up.
Right.
So the fact that they couldn't play that game, but I will say that's one of the reasons, as far as, you know, a lot of people get on in college football,
Right.
you have to have consequences. And
Right.
I honestly think, you know what, for the 2 Ohio State players and even for the Michigan player, they should not be allowed to play the next game.
Right.
That should really hurt and set a precedent
Right.
for everybody, because you can't act a fool and then just get rewarded by playing the
Right.
next game.
Cold like a fool, you can't do it.
Right.
But
Right.
you know, that's a classic Urban Crier move, though. You know,
Yeah.
he's not big on discipline.
Yeah.
You know, look what he did down at University of Florida.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's just being Urban Crier.
Right.
That's all.
Right. But so anyway, some other big games I want to mention. You had Florida State 37, Florida 7.
Say it like you mean it.
You had Oregon 36, Oregon State 35. LSU beat Arkansas 31-27. And then you had Missouri beating Texas A&M 28-21. And because of all this and all the craziness over the weekend, when it came down to the Associated Press College Football Poll, you now have Florida State as number 1.
Say it like you mean it.
You have Ohio State number 2, Auburn number 3, and Alabama falls to number 4. Now, this is the first time Florida State has been number 1 since 1999, folks. So I got to give it to them. I'm gonna give you one of these. Yeah. And yeah, hey, got to give it to Florida State.
Man, FLORIDA.
Now with that,
STATE.
oh Lord,
Florida State, Florida State, Florida State.
Okay.
Woo!
All right. Thank you for that. First of all, I'm just impressed with the spelling. I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, you should be. You should be.
was
I've
impressed
been
with the
working
spelling.
hard. You know,
Yeah.
did you see me sweating?
Yeah, I
Hey,
got
man,
you.
it takes something out of you.
So we have a new poll question on our website. That's twssports.com. Again, that's twssports.com. We wanted to know which team should definitely get a chance for the BCS championship.
The BSCS.
I was going to say, yeah, you know that one, the BCS championship. And again, that's Florida State, Ohio State, Auburn, and Alabama. Let us know as far as who should definitely get in, because there's been a lot of talk, obviously, after this game that we saw, what we witnessed this weekend with Alabama falling, as far as, okay, now who should get in. So I want to take a look at some of these teams, and then you all kind of make a decision. Again, let us know on
Right.
Twitter, #SheSaidSports.
Mhm.
You got Florida State, who's now number 1.
Okay.
Okay. They beat Florida, as we
Right.
all know. Then
True.
Now, you have to admit, when they were beating people big time.
Handily.
They crushed Maryland 63-0, Clemson 51-14, and then Miami 41-14. Now, some people might say, Clemson, but you have to remember, at the time that they played them, Clemson was a big deal. In fact, Taj Boyd at
Right
the time
on.
was considered,
A Heisman Trophy candidate.
Thank you. So now we move on to Ohio State, where they beat Purdue 56-0.
Per who?
Penn State 63-14, Northwestern 40-30, and they beat Florida A&M 76-0. And of course they beat Michigan. But here's my thing with Ohio State. I
Right.
don't think they had a strong enough schedule, and you also allowed Michigan to get 41 points. And as far as beating Florida A&M, I can beat Florida A&M. Just putting it out there. Okay.
Yeah, well, you did.
Auburn. You had one loss to LSU. You beat Georgia 43-38, Arkansas 35-17, and then of course you beat Alabama, the number 1 program.
Right.
So
The powerhouse, the
that-
roll tide,
that obviously
the elephant
that obviously says a lot.
that's no longer in the room.
Now with Alabama, they beat Ole Miss, Arkansas, Tennessee, LSU. Yes, they suffered a loss to Auburn, but we have to admit they did have one of the strongest schedules out there. And I would say compared to, as far as if you think of ranking schedules,
Right.
you had to give it to Florida State and Alabama.
Okay. So if I understand what you're saying here, the proper alignment would be Florida State number 1, Florida State number 1, Florida State number 1.
Yeah, we got that.
Florida. Okay, I'm sorry.
I realize the record is skipped.
Okay, right.
But
Sorry.
Yeah.
And say maybe Auburn number 2.
Okay, but when I'm talking about as far as the BCS championship,
Right.
when I'm also basing it on as far as the schedule,
Right.
even with one loss, I think it'd be fair to say more people would want to see Florida State and Alabama on the game.
Okay. Right.
But
in all fairness.
okay, but here's the flip side.
Right.
If I couldn't get Alabama, I would want Florida State and Auburn.
Okay.
I would not put Ohio State
Right.
in the BCS championship.
Okay.
Based on the schedule.
Right.
And I understand they're undefeated, but to be honest with you, I believe Michigan State can beat them next Saturday.
You know what? And those two matchups, conference matchups,
Yeah.
are going to be very interesting and will be watched very closely.
Yeah. Now, speaking of next week, B, you have Ohio State and Michigan State. You have Duke versus Florida State. And then you have Missouri versus Auburn. And I honestly believe out of all of those, there's going to be 2 upsets.
2?
Yes.
2?
I have Michigan State beating Ohio State.
Okay.
And I actually have Missouri beating Auburn.
Ah, man.
The pregnant pause.
Yeah. I mean, because where'd that come from?
Well, I'm just saying. I feel pretty confident Florida State can beat Duke.
Okay. Right.
I figure that's a W for Florida State.
Okay.
But people are sleeping on Michigan State. I believe they're
Right.
ranked now number 10.
Right.
They can beat Ohio State. Okay.
Here's the thing.
All right.
You know, I don't totally disagree with you.
Okay.
I think I see where this is coming from.
Okay.
However, the outcome of the Ohio State-Michigan State game,
Yeah.
I think is going to go one of 2 ways.
All right.
Either Ohio State is going to run away with it,
Okay.
or Michigan State is going to make it ugly
Okay.
and win a close game.
All right.
Which is most likely to happen? I think Michigan State can do it. I
Okay.
think they can
Now-
ugly it up.
Now let's flip it. Let's say Ohio State does win, but it's still close. It's like
Yeah,
34-33 or something.
You can't give them the nod then. I don't think you can give them the BCS
because
nod.
they barely won.
You got it.
Okay.
You got it.
All right. Okay. Now what about Missouri Auburn?
Now, Missouri-Auburn is a very intriguing matchup.
Right. Missouri did just beat Texas A&M.
Right. You have 2 high-powered, very fast offenses going against one another.
Yeah.
And the telltale sign is going to be which defense shows up. Honestly, I think Auburn can do it. I think with their depth on the defensive side of the ball,
Yeah.
Although Missouri is pretty big up front on the
Okay.
defensive side of the ball. So it's going to be interesting. But
Okay.
I think Auburn can pull it out.
Okay.
I think they got the momentum. I think they got the type of quarterback that they want,
Right.
that can get the production that they want on the offensive side of the ball, and I think the defense will take care of their business.
Okay. So basically, let me just do this real quick.
Do it right quick.
So I have Michigan State. You have Michigan State.
True that.
We have Florida State.
True that.
But yet I have Missouri. You have Auburn.
True that.
Okay. All right. And we'll see.
Yep. And now you tell us what your picks are.
Yeah.
Via Twitter.
Definitely.
#, She Says Sports. We
All
want to
right.
hear that from you.
So what just happened recently is Washington's head coach Steve Sarkisian was named USC's new head coach.
Easy for you to say. Steven Sarkisian.
Karzizian.
Steven.
How about Coach Steve?
Hey,
He's now the new
Steven.
head coach for USC.
Right.
So, and I think that pick kind of surprised some people. So that should be interesting.
Yeah.
All right, folks. So we are going to dive in because we're going to give you our NFL Beasts and Busters. Our Beasts right off the bat, we have to give it to the Denver. We have to give it to our Denver Broncos, beating the Kansas City Chiefs 35-28. Peyton Manning passed for 403 yards and 5 touchdowns, and 4 of those went to wide receiver Eric Decker, who was on point.
Who said that Denver would do it again? This guy. This guy right here.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Hey, I believe in him.
I know you do.
So I was excited.
Peyton's
so
your guy. That's why you wanted to go and eat at Manning's.
Yes, which is very good, by the way. But all right, so our next beast, we have to give it to Eagles quarterback Nick Foles, who threw for 3 touchdown passes. And did you know, B, Foles has now thrown for 19 touchdown passes.
And 0 picks.
Thank you. And he is one shy of my boy, Peyton Manning, who had 20 when he did it. And who would think that we'd be talking about Nick Foles this time of the year?
Tricky Nicky.
And I put it on our Facebook page. And I want to hear from you. Do you think that at this point, Michael Vick has officially lost his job?
I don't know about the official piece, but he certainly lost it.
Okay. All right.
Because Tricky Nicky is doing his thing.
He's doing it. Foles is no fool.
No, he's not.
All right, so
Foles is on a roll.
so we got to give it up to Josh Gordon. He is the Cleveland Browns wide receiver who made history as the first player in the NFL to post back-to-back 200-yard outings. He did it with the Steelers, 237 yards, and he also did it with Jacksonville with 261 yards. And I think we can all agree, if he was on any other team outside the Cleveland Browns, people would actually be talking about him. I'm just saying. Yeah.
You would bring that up against the Steelers, though, wouldn't you?
But, hey, it's not my
okay,
fault.
Truth hurts.
It was on the schedule.
I'm just letting you know. Truth hurts. Truth hurts.
All right, folks. Now it's time for our buster.
Boss a boss.
Got to give it to the Jets, and that's all the Jets. That's the Jets O-line. That's Geno, Rex, Mark, anybody else who plays for the Jets. Got to give it to them.
The Jets can't be successful with the offensive line throwing lookout blocks.
Yeah.
And I know what you're thinking. BG, what you talking about? What is a lookout block? When the lineman turns around and says, hey, Geno, look out. Right. Here they come.
Right. And you know what? I seriously cannot put it all on Geno. He did get benched, but we've been told that he's actually going to be playing next Sunday, and he should. Because, again, you can't – it's like the old Philly line that Michael Vick had are now the Jets.
They resurfaced in the Jets.
Yeah. Crazy. Yeah. I know B wasn't happy about this, but I had to give a buster to the Steelers head coach, Mike Tomlin.
Right.
He was on the field as the Ravens' Jacoby Jones was running down the field. Intentional or not, he was in the way, and it was just a buster move. So. Well,
I mean, you got to do whatever you can do, to light a fire under your team.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not exactly the hottest team in the league right now.
But the one thing I disagree with, they're talking about, I get a fine. He should obviously get fined. But I disagree with them taking away a draft pick. I think that's a little much.
That's totally ridiculous. I mean, don't.
Because even when they had Spygate for the Patriots, I don't believe they took away a draft pick. They just
had
to pay a hefty fine.
Heavily.
Right.
But now, I tell you what, let's watch this to see how it really turns out.
Okay.
Because if it doesn't turn out well as just a fine, I'm going to be hot like fish grease on a Friday down in Florida. And I'm going to give you.
Well, you and the Rooney family.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I'm going to give you the comparisons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
And
we'll see.
It won't vote well, I tell you, for the Patriots. I'm just saying.
So another buster we have to give it to the refs during the Washington Redskins New York Giants game. With 2 minutes left on the clock, fourth quarter, referee Jeff Triplett had signaled third down in a hurry-up situation while incorrectly motioning for the chain crew to advance, but that read first down. So he did this.
Right.
Crew came, and then the Redskins saw this. So they ran their play. They thought it was second down. It was actually third down, which should have been fourth down, but they thought they had another down, and it was just confusion.
Right.
Okay. So
and then turn the ball over after all of that.
So in that regard, it wasn't the Redskins' fault. We had to give it to the refs. And, that was interesting. So the one time where it wasn't RG me.
A bag of mix.
Now, we also have an NBA buster. Had to give it to Jason Kidd and Spillgate. While the Nets were playing against the Lakers, he needed extra timeout, so he thought he would accidentally spill a drink.
Right.
And this has been done before.
Which was Jack and Coke, no less.
Yeah. You know what?
I'm just saying.
Mark Cuban has said this. A lot of other people, but it's just unfortunately he actually got caught. And because of this, he was fined $50,000. Oh. And all I have to say is next time, Jason, take better acting lessons. Okay, if you're gonna spill something, 50K? Make it look authentic.
A $50K Jack and Coke. All right,
that was an expensive drink.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't ever want that one.
So, folks, we had been talking about it, and over the weekend, like we said, we were in New Orleans.
We were
for the Bayou Classic, and it was actually the 40th anniversary of the Bayou Classic.
Yes,
where
indeed.
It was Southern and Grambling, and we had an awesome time. And look out for that.
Turn up.
We have a couple stories that we'll be showing you on our YouTube channel.
Yes, indeed.
But we got to experience everything from the Greek show to the Battle of the Bands, which we felt that Southern definitely won.
Absolutely. You get no argument there.
Yeah. And then we had Fan Fest, which is nice. We want to say hello to all those people that we met out in Fan Fest. That was really cool. It was in Champion Square off from the Superdome. And then we had the game. And we showed up. Southern showed up. Grambling, not so much. But it was a blowout.
It was.
Southern won 40 to 17. So, but it was our first Bayou Classic. What did you think about it?
Oh man, it was awesome, man. Yeah. I enjoyed every minute of it.
Yeah.
I thought the Greek show and Battle of the Bands was very interesting.
Yeah.
To say the least. You know what I mean? But that part of it was probably my highlight.
Okay.
The game was a game, and not a good game.
Right.
But it was a game. But let's not get it twisted. Grambling has a very good team.
Well, they have a decent quarterback. They do have a decent quarterback.
They are right there on the cusp. I think they just need to shore up their coaching situation because they have some great athletes.
Yeah.
I mean, so they'll be good here in the coming years. And
they've had some pains this season. It's been in the news.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the coming years, they'll be great.
Yeah.
But for me, the highlight was definitely the Greek show. Along with the Battle of the Bands.
Well, I think that was great. And I have to say another highlight that I had was just being on the field at the Superdome. Met some great people. Want to give a shout out to Robert, who's one of the security guards
Big
there.
Rob.
And to the New Orleans Sheriff Department. Got to meet all the different guys and just had a great time talking to them.
Right.
Just being out in the field, I was sitting there thinking about, man, what is this like when the Saints
Super
are
Bowl
here?
is here.
Or
even that.
So that part was just really cool. Just having access to just to go anywhere.
Exactly.
That part was pretty awesome.
It was.
That was pretty awesome.
I tell you what, I think we should go ahead on and just let's just go ahead and put it out there.
Yeah.
Can we just go ahead and adopt New Orleans as our?
You know what?
As our own.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. It's like our home away from home.
Yeah. I see. We get said to second that. So. I think it's official, man.
Yeah, because our producer said definitely had a good time.
Right.
He went on a food tour. But like B had mentioned, we actually had dinner at Manning's. This was a spot that Archie Manning and his sons, you might have heard of them, Eli and Peyton, all own. And that was pretty amazing.
That was delicious what it was.
Yeah, I have to say those catfish nuggets. Woo! Yeah,
man, and the crab fingers, crab fingers.
Oh, and a shout out to Cafe Du Monde.
OMG,
the beignets. Yeah,
always on point.
Yeah,
consistency.
Yeah. So with all that, we'll be going to the gym this week.
Yes, to get my discount double check.
Checked.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get that thing down.
So as always, folks, we want to thank you for watching and listening to That's What She Said Sports Talk Her Way. Remember, you can always catch us on Comcast Channel 25 if you're in the Atlanta area. Everyone
Saturdays
can catch us
at 10 a.m.
That's it. Everyone can catch us on our YouTube channel. And remember to follow us on podcast as far as our, on podbean.com as far as our podcast and also iTunes. Mm-hmm. And be sure to follow us at Twitter. I'm at TWSS Sports, BG.
At Big BG, the number 1.
And like us on Facebook, Google+. We're all over the place, folks. You can't miss us. And BG, any last words?
Yeah, man. Big up to New Orleans, man. I mean, just all the way around. Food, folks, and fun, man. Yeah. Loving some New Orleans.
And did we mention food?
Did we mention food? Catfish nuggets, crab fingers,
beignets.
You know what I mean? Bloody Marys.
Sedric had some of the bomb pancakes.
You're right, man. All good stuff. You know what I mean? Right. It's not all bad, but it was all good.
That's it.
And always, folk, when we part, the BG stands for Be Good. Till next time.
Till next time, folks.
Tavern in Kennesaw, then what are you waiting for? Arena Tavern in Kennesaw is all about the fantastic, mouth-watering food and enough choices for you and the whole family. Games, plenty of music, and enough TVs to catch up on all of your sports teams. And now, every Wednesday is Ladies' Night, and every Thursday is College Night. Oh yes, Arena Tavern in Kennesaw, it is the place to be.